Hey everyone, my name is Riley, and in this video, I'm going to be doing just kind of a talk and talking about something kind of different. Usually, it's only firearms or gun related topics I talk about on this channel, but I wanted to make a video about depression and anxiety and just kind of getting through the topic, getting through it. I'm going to share some of my feelings and thoughts that I've had on the topic, and hopefully some of the insight that I share with you can help you get through the depression or anxiety or both that you are facing at this time. So, both depression and anxiety can be brought on by major life events, such as losing a job, divorce, losing a spouse, losing a child, or it can be brought on by, just day to day activities that kind of build up and lead to depression or anxiety. And the reason I'm putting these two together is because many people have found that those two mental problems are very closely related, depression and anxiety, and often go hand in hand. So, I mean, it can be a major event, or it could be just things that build up in your life, or it could be just something you've struggled with your whole life. Now, in this video, I don't, I'm not trying to cure everyone's depression and anxiety. And I'm not saying it's all going to go away, but I think if you do listen to this entire video, you can have my, point of view and my thoughts on the whole situation and understand what I think about the whole topic. And maybe some of the thoughts, like I said, will help you. So now, if you may not have actually been to a doctor and actually been diagnosed with depression or anxiety, it might just be a self diagnosis. And a lot of people are able to read their bodies well and know if they do have depression or anxiety. And I mean, who knows their body better than the actual person, So if you're one of those people that can tell, hey, I have depression, or hey, I have anxiety, well, that's good because you're able to read your body and know what it's going through. And then if you decide to go see a counselor or a doctor or anything else, that's usually recommended. Now, a lot of people have different approaches to deal with anxiety and depression. Some people think that, medication is the right way to go. Other people think that it's better to go a more natural route and maybe just have therapy sessions, counseling. And some people decide that both of those things mixed together produce the best results. Now, my personal belief is to try what you can until you find something that works. Maybe you don't want to jump on medication. That's fine. So start with counseling and therapy. And if that doesn't make you better, then maybe you do need to get on antidepressants or some kind of anti-anxiety medication. But I would definitely go with what you feel is most comfortable at first. And it might get to such a severe case where you might need both, So it just really depends on what stage you're at and what you are comfortable with at the moment. So, I'm just gonna basically tell you guys why I've been experiencing anxiety and everything like that, just so everyone here knows that I had. So recently, I have gone through a very traumatic event. So my wife passed away in December 4th of 2017. And she was only 26 years old. So it was took a huge emotional hit on me. It took a while for me to develop the symptoms that I've been having. So if you go through a loss of a spouse like I did, or a loss of a mom, dad, sister, brother, and child, you may be numb and you may not feel any of these symptoms right away. It may take months. It may take 2 months. It may take 5 months. But you'll know it when they hit you. And you might start developing a depression or anxiety. And both of these mental problems can have lots of different symptoms, ranging from overeating to undereating to sleeping all day, not getting out of bed, to not getting enough sleep, sleeping 1 to 2 hours at night. Anywhere from that range all the way to not wanting to leave your house because you have anxiety, not being around a lot of people, isolating yourself, just not going about your everyday activities, kind of just dropping off, if you will, dropping off the grid. And these are very common symptoms, and they both have to do with anxiety and depression. And if you have some form of PTSD or some form of loss, you're going through, depression and anxiety are very common. Now, it's important to note that depression and anxiety doesn't mean that your life is over. It doesn't mean that, I'm clinically depressed, therefore I'm not ever going to get better. No, your mind is so powerful, and you want to have these positive, reoccurring thoughts in your mind. Instead of thinking you're never going to get better, just keep thinking, well, I'm trying my best, and I'm doing my best, and I will get better. It might take time. It may take a couple days. It might take a couple months, but I'm going to get better. Another thing I want to kind of mention and talk about with you guys is make sure that you do not try to please anybody else. Get better on your own time and on your own terms. I don't care if people tell you you've been grieving too long, you've had depression too long, you've avoided situations too long. There's no set amount of time for depression, anxiety, or grief. So if you feel like after 3 weeks you feel better and you're ready to hit the road again and get back to daily routine, then do it. But if you feel like you need 3 months, then take it. Because nothing is more important than your physical and mental health and your emotional health. If you're not emotionally and mentally stable, then you shouldn't be out there in the first place. That you need to take the time off in order to recover and come back to some sort of normal state of mind. Obviously, if you've gone through something traumatic, like I know most of you have that are listening to this, if you've gone through something traumatic, you're never going to be the same again. But that doesn't mean you can't find a new normal. Because if things change, and when something very traumatic impacts your life, it's very hard to return exactly back to how it was before. But like I said, you can find a new normal and a new kind of place to work in. It won't be like it was before, but it's the best you can do. Now, like I said, you should definitely take time, but know when is too much time that you've taken. And when I say that is know when you need to start seeking medical help. If you say, I don't know, if you were in a car crash and your wife and your kids died and it left you alone, and you're depressed for 6 months, not leaving the house, not getting out of bed, I think at that point, and you haven't sought medical attention or anything at that time, I think by then you should definitely start reaching out, making appointments with doctors and therapists, because something like that is not meant. Some things are too hard to get over by yourself. Sometimes, unfortunately, you do need medication to get better. Sometimes you do need therapy or counseling sessions to get better. So and most of us are pretty good about determining when that time is. Most of us are able to say, hey, I haven't got out of bed in 3 months. I haven't left my house in 5 months. I need to start doing something different. Or I need to set up an appointment to see my doctor. And if you are against medication, I know lots of hospitals also offer therapy via counseling sessions if you do not want to go down the medication route. But like I said, there are some cases where the pain and the trauma is so intense that you have to, you're not going to get better on your own. So sometimes you just have to look at your personal situation. Anyways, I'm recording this because I want to help everyone get through it. I've kind of talked about what depression and anxiety are, some symptoms, and kind of diagnosing them. But I just want to talk about getting through anxiety and depression, because I feel like they're really hard. It's not like how should I put this? It's not like getting over a cold, Oh, I just need to maybe sleep in extra couple hours and, have some vitamin C, cough drops, take a hot bath and I'll be better in a couple days. It's not like that. And like I said at the beginning, towards the beginning of this video, you are not going to be feeling the same symptoms or even the same duration of symptoms as someone else. Everyone's situation is different. A guy that got in a car crash that killed his wife and his kids is going to have different, symptoms versus someone that just, is grieving over their dog. And not saying that, grieving over a lost pet is not a big deal, because it is. I mean, pets are part of your family. But I'm saying the level of grief might be different, and the symptoms might be different, and it all depends on the person and what they went through. So it's important that when you're getting through this, number one, just try. That's a big one. I just want you to get up and try. If you can just get up out of your bed and try to go do stuff, you're making progress. If you can't get out of bed, well, then you've tried, and then you can try again tomorrow. And don't make people force you to do stuff, because no one knows you better than you. But I want you to try every day. That's the most important thing about overcoming anxiety and depression, is that you try. Don't accept defeat by any means. Don't let depression or anxiety take over your life. It may have reduced it. After my wife passed away, I battled with lots of, I don't think I had major depression, but I had, cases of depression as well as anxiety, and I just thought to myself, my life isn't like how it was before. I'm fighting this right now, but it's only holding me back for a little bit. And I'm going to break this thing and I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to break out of this depression. I'm going to get out of this anxiety. I might not fully recover, but I'm going to get my life back. And I think that's the most important thing, is that you get your life back on track. And like I said, heck, some people can come back, get out of depression in a couple days. Other people might take 9 months to get out of depression. Some people will live with anxiety their whole lives, but they have to. You have to figure out how to keep going. And like I said, rule number 1 is just try. No matter how hard life seems to be, I want you to try every day. Don't worry about what other people are saying. I just want you to try, get out of bed, try to make breakfast, try to take a shower, try to brush your teeth. And if you can't, well, you tried. Try again the next day. That's my first tip on, and I just want to add, try to leave the house, try to go on a walk, try to go to the grocery store, try to talk to somebody. Those daily tasks will be accomplishments that will help you eventually get back to your normal life. Okay. My second kind of tip that I already talked about is basically, taking your time. Even if someone has gone through what you have gone through, your body is not going to react the same way as their body is. So don't tell people that, you've had a month off of work after your spouse died. That's enough time. Get back to work. Or, you've been gone for 2 months. You need to get back to your daily routine. Don't let people tell you what you do need to do and you don't, because they don't know. They don't know personally how you're feeling. I think the best person that can tell you is, meeting with a therapist or a counselor, because they will be able to tell you essentially a good time frame on doing things. But don't listen to people, because even after 2 years of, a loss or a traumatic event, or let's say it's not even a loss, say you were assaulted, you're still going to remember those things 10 years down the road. Or say your son died. You're not going to forget that ever. Even 15 years down the road, you're not going to forget your son that died. So don't tell people, or don't have people tell you that you've been grieving too long, you've been thinking about it too long, or, you should get back, you should stop thinking about those things. That's foolish. You're keeping... Some things are better, yeah, I agree. Some things are better to not think about. Like if you were, assaulted or abused in a certain way, it's better to forget those types of things. Although what I'm saying is you're not going to be able to totally forget those things, But other things like a loss of a loved one, you're never going to forget that. You're never going to forget your mom that died, your son, your daughter that died. You're never going to forget those things. So don't try to. Keep them alive in your heart and in your mind, because they'll always be with you. And so my third tip is basically looking to the horizon. I hope some of this stuff has helped you a little bit, but my third tip is looking towards the horizon. And guys, just to let you know, I'm not a therapist. I don't have any training. I didn't go to school for any of this. I'm just a person that was afflicted with anxiety and depression due to a big traumatic event. So I'm trying to help other people. So don't take this as medical knowledge or anything like that. This is just me trying to help other people. But my third and probably final tip is look to the horizon. Know that things are getting better. You're going through a brief period in your life. But know that one day things will get better. And when I say that, I mean, okay, say you have depression for a couple months or anxiety and things are really hard. Feel like you're at your worst day, Imagine the worst day of depression you had. Maybe you wanted to kill yourself. Maybe you tried to kill yourself. Obviously it would be a good idea to seek help in that situation. But let's say, just think of your worst day that you've had with the depression or anxiety problem. Things will get better. If you look to the horizon, things will get better. And if you keep telling yourself that, it will become a reality. And I promise you that. But if you keep telling yourself things are going to get worse and worse, your subconscious is very powerful. And, your mind is powerful and it can debilitate you longer and longer. So if you keep happy thoughts and you keep telling yourself things are going to get better, which I know they will, I guarantee you things will start getting better. And just think to yourself, I'm in this rut right now, but, in a little bit, I'm going to be doing better. I'm going to be doing way better. And one way you can look at this is, say you live 90 years on this earth and then you die. 2 months out of that 90 years is nothing. Heck, 1 year out of the 90 years is not much if you have severe depression for a year. The point is, those bad days, are not going to outweigh the good days you have on this earth. So don't focus on these bad days that you have. Look to the horizon. Think about how you can better your situation. Get help. And get yourself out of this rut. Because you owe it to yourself. You just went through something terrible. Or maybe you didn't. Maybe you've had lifelong depression, which in itself is something terrible. But you owe it to yourself to get better. If you suffer from depression or anxiety due to anything that has happened in your life, you owe it to yourself to get better by seeking treatment or, by taking anything that I've talked about in this video, to taking those steps in order to better your life. One more thing I wanted to talk about, and it's kind of very similar to step 3 I talked about. Tip number 3 is, the state of mind you're in. Now, I've heard a couple people talk about this. I'm just going to give my kind of give my take on the whole story type thing. But say, this is kind of an extreme example, but say you're a POW, a prisoner of war, and you're being held by, say you're in the army of some kind, and the opposing army captured you and is holding you and is torturing you. Obviously, this is an extreme example, but I just want to get my point across. So say the opposing army has captured you, you're a POW, you're being tortured daily, you're miserable, your life sucks, you're being starved, beaten, the whole 9 yards. Now, the mind is so strong that if you're that POW, you can either choose to be miserable because of your current situation, or you can basically leave that situation and go somewhere else. And this has actually been proven. There's people that were actually POWs that kind of use this philosophy, and afterwards people ask them, "Why are you so happy?" They're like, "Well, the whole time I was a prisoner of war, I wasn't there mentally. I escaped mentally. My body was there, but I wasn't there mentally." And your mind can choose on how you feel. You can be going through torture, but if you can control how you feel mentally, you can be on a beach, in Cancun. And that's the whole idea with the positive thinking. You can be going through something terribly frightening, excruciating, but if you can control what your mind is thinking, you don't have to be there mentally. And I think that's very important when you're dealing with depression and anxiety, because oftentimes people with panic attacks and anxiety attacks feel like they're literally going to die. But if they think good thoughts, they know they control their mind, they know what's happening, they they accept what's happening and they think about good thoughts, it could make that anxiety or panic attack go away so much faster. Or if you are in depression, you have depression, those good thoughts and being in a good state of mind, trying to at least, will have so much of a big impact on your life, especially when you're going through depression. So I guess that's another tip, if you want to call it that, is positive thinking and not letting your current physical state determine how you feel mentally. Because you can control that. If you can't control anything else, you can control that. Anyways, this is a long video, so if you've listened to the whole thing, thanks. I'll leave the comment section open so you can let me know your thoughts and opinions. I hope each and every one of you gets better. I'm trying to, and I know you will too.